Retro.
Yeah.
Electro. Tech.
Oh yeah.
Hey, turn the lights back on. Wow. Retro electro tech. When real audio ruled the world.
Well, hello there once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Retro Ernest of Retro Electro Tech. And here before you is the mechanism from an Imperial Micromatic record changer that obviously I'm breaking down. I'm going to start the degreasing process as I break it down further. I only have the main cam pulled and I have to break it down further, of course. And I'm going to start the degreasing process and get everything cleaned up, get the new grease applied, and whatever little adjustments need to be performed or big adjustments that need to be performed, whatever the case. Everything looks pretty good in here as I'm breaking it down, but you never know what I'm going to encounter as I break it down further. And over here I have the underside of the record changer looking up at you. The levers are going to be cleaned, degreased, relubed. I'm going to make sure they travel through their ranges of travel like they should, service the motor, all that good stuff. Let me go ahead and get this back over here, get the tripod locked in place. There we go. Okay, so I'm not going to go into a great amount of detail though and show all aspects of the anatomy and physiology of this, in other words, how it works and all that. But the good news there is I did a little mini video series on breaking down these Micromatic mechanisms and servicing them, and I covered a pretty good amount of information there. And more on that in just a minute. So that's one of the reasons, aside from just really being strapped for time, why I'm not going to go into detail, because a lot of detail, because I don't want to repeat that process. There's no need. So at the very least, what I'm going to try to do is, if I'm feeling really ambitious and I have the time, I'll go ahead and put the links down below to that video series in as organized of a manner as possible, in order if I can. But if I can't get around to that, at the very least there will be a thumbnail at the end of this video. You know, those thumbnails that pop up and recommend this video, that video, and so forth. You know, again, at the end, and I'll put part one there, and then from there, because you guys are bright, you know, boys and girls, you can take it from there and hunt down the rest on my page if you so choose. And there you go. So with this, I will pop back in here and there so that I can show some of you that are interested, but primarily the customer in this case, because I want the customer to know what phase things are in, how things are going, and a little assurance that, you know, yep, the work is being done. This is what you're getting for your money. Not that I'm under obligation to do that, or any tech is under obligation to do that, but in this day and age, you know, with the video technology and all that jazz, there you go. So I try to do that when I can, when time permits. Don't mind doing it, but getting into a great amount of detail is really time consuming, and all the editing involved and so forth. But I will pop back in, especially if I run across a problem that's fairly unique or something worth chiming back in on, then I will do that. So I will get back to some bits and pieces here. So if you want to strap in and come along for the ride, by all means feel free to do so. But if you want more detail, just go ahead and check out that little mini series I did where I went into a fair amount of detail on the servicing of these Micromatic mechanisms. So let me go ahead and get the show on the road, and I will be back in just a moment. So I got everything stripped down to where I need it for this level of service. And here's what I mean by that. Can I continue on and remove more levers? You know, the ones that remain here? Yes, I could if I needed to. And what I'm saying there is, sometimes when an assembly, you know, the subplate assembly and so forth, is covered in maybe surface rust, or, you know, it's been exposed to a wet, you know, damp environment, and there's, you know, again, surface rust, maybe, you know, calcification, oxidation, and all that, then yes, it's a good idea to remove every single lever, but there's not anything here at this level of disassembly that's going to prohibit me from doing a thorough job cleaning, beneath and around these levers here. I have access to what I need to have access to. And again, on account of there not being surface rust and, again, oxidation and tarnish all over everything, where I really have to break it down and really scrub each individual lever. So we're looking good there. So not a problem. I've already sprayed it with some, an industrial degreaser, and it's a really pretty stiff concentration. I used simple green. Sometimes I will use Dawn dishwashing liquid and kind of soak everything. That's a good degreaser too, the original Dawn dishwashing liquid. So anyways, I'll just kind of go in here and spray this off again, just kind of keep everything soaked pretty good for a while. And then I'm going to get in here with a brush and start scrubbing off everything. I am going to be doing a little bit more disassembly, like the spindle assembly and all that. I'll get to that in just a bit and go in there in a little more detail and what have you. The tone arm assembly here is actually really free. It's not gummed up or anything, so that's good. So I'm not going to have to do much here. I'm going to soak it a little bit more and get down into that tube with maybe a pipe cleaner, some solvent, really scrub it out good, so that the lift rod, that lifts the tone arm and all that, is nice and free. And it is, as you can see. But by the time I get everything cleaned out, this thing will be nice and slick. Slick as snot, as they say. So everything's looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and just let that soak for a while, and I'll start scrubbing everything and getting everything nice and clean. When I come back, everything's going to be done, nice and clean, and I'll start the relubrication process. But that's where I am right now, so I'll be back in just a moment. All right, so everything is completed as far as cleaning, and everything cleaned up very nicely. As I said before, I'm really glad that it didn't turn out to be covered with surface rust here and there, or whatever else, tarnish, oxidation, calcification, whatever. Otherwise, I would have had to spend more time polishing everything up, and it would have been quite a bit more involved. But everything cleaned up good nonetheless. There was still a lot of, degraded grease and dirt and all that, but I got all that squared away. I'm going to bring a few of these parts into view and just kind of hold them up here and try to angle it so the reflection doesn't screw around with the exposure too much. Hopefully you can see a little bit of detail there. Flip around to the back side, and everything's nice and clean. Let me get these parts back on here so I don't start misplacing things. The plate, everything is looking really good here with the plate, nice and clean, polished up, looking good. All right, really good. Okay, I'm happy with all that. And as far as the the spindle assembly and all that, that's all cleaned out. The hub, the spindle, I still need to do a little reassembly there. And the tone arm base, tone arm assembly, as I already mentioned, everything is pivoting really nice. All these tubes that the lift rod drops down into and all that, the tube, these various hubs and all that have been cleaned out really well. And yeah, everything is looking good. Like I said, all the various shafts and all that. So once I get everything relubricated, then I will start prepping to get this all reassembled. There's still a few things I'm waiting on, but I'll talk about that in a moment. But before I get the assembly mounted back to the chassis over here, of course, and let me see if I could kick up the exposure just a few notches. I need to do some disassembly to get to where I need to get as far as access to these control levers, get everything cleaned, and once again re-grease there, get that motor serviced. And that's going to be in the next video. I'm just going to kind of break this up into smaller segments. So I want to try to keep these as short as possible. So once I get that done, I'm going to move this over here and kind of get started on that, start getting this filmed for the next video. And otherwise, I just wanted to mainly cover this section in this video. Show the customer that, yeah, it's underway, everything's looking good. I'm waiting on a few parts, like I said, the idler wheel, idler tire, whatever, tomato, and I need to pull some new tone arm wire through, get the new cartridge and stylus mounted. There is a mounting plate that's missing in the head shell here, a mounting plate with that tail on it, that little tail piece plate. I do have one in the shop, but it belongs to my own personal unit, of which I'm waiting to build a nice plinth for, a nice wood plinth. But I have a nice Micromatic that I restored a long time ago, kind of sitting in here waiting for that because I haven't had time. But so in other words, I'm not going to scavenge the little plate from it. No need to anyways. Worst case scenario, if I can't find that little mounting plate in a few days, because I'm not going to wait too long, then I'm going to go ahead and just fabricate something. I'd rather not do that, but if there's nothing available, if there's not someone out there that kind of parted one out, that has one laying around. I checked a few places, but nobody had them. But I'll look around a few more times in the next few days. If not, I'll come up with a workaround, like I said, get that underway. So once I get all of this stuff relubed, reassembled onto the chassis, get the, that motor done, those control levers, then I'll be back with some footage of, again, me doing some of the servicing on this stuff here, the levers and the motor and all that, and getting everything cleaned up. So, once I get everything I need, and like I said, I get that workaround squared away as far as that mounting plate for the head shell, then I'll be ready to do full bore testing. If I don't have what I need by then in the coming days, because this isn't going to take very long to do, I'm going to have this slapped back together in the coming days, and I might be able to do, of course, some mechanical function testing just to check the mechanism itself, make sure things are doing what they're supposed to do. But as far as any testing beyond that, and dropping the vinyl and making sure that everything is cycling the way it should, the set down and end of play and return and all that, well, obviously that's going to have to wait till I have the tone arm all completed and wired, and the mounting plate, the new cartridge, and all that jazz. But no big deal. It's on the way. Everything is ready. So I'll get back to this here. Let me just go ahead and let me drop the exposure a little bit. A lot of glare. So I'm going to end this part here. And as I always say, peace, love, music, and the vintage audio that brings it to your ears. Till next time, you all take care.
This is a poor man's shoe production.